If you spend any time in the online world of hacks, then you'll find one accusation lobbed around over and over again, and that's queerbaiting. The intense, obsessive, and deeply intimate relationship between legendary comedian Deborah Vance and her millennial writer Ava has led a lot of viewers to scream that the show is teasing a romance that it's got no intention of delivering on. And let's be honest, you can see why. The longing stares between them and the life altering fights, the dream sequences that end with a kiss. The show is deliberately written like a romance. So when it keeps pulling back from making them an actual couple, it can feel like a betrayal. It can feel like we're being manipulated. But what if it isn't a failure to deliver on a promise? What if it isn't queerbaiting at all? What if Hacks is flipping the script on purpose to validate a kind of queer relationship that television has almost never explored? One that isn't defined by sex or romance, but by a different, more complicated, and maybe more profound kind of love. To understand why Hacks isn't just playing games, we have to be clear on what we're talking about. Classic queerbaiting, the kind many critics and fans point to in shows like Supernatural or Sherlock, is the practice of teasing the same-sex romance to attract queer audiences, without ever making it canon. It's a marketing tactic that winks at you with the subtext and plausible deniability, leaving fans feeling used when the creators ultimately retreat to a safe, straight status quo. The character's queerness is treated as a question, a mystery, a bit of subtext to endlessly be debated. Now, Hacks is playing a completely different game. From the very beginning, there is zero question about Ava's queerness. She's openly bisexual. It's not a plot twist or a secret to be revealed. It's just a fact of her character, as established as her anxiety or her terrible financial decisions. The show isn't interested in the tired, often traumatic coming out narrative. Instead, it asks a far more compelling question: what happens after you're out? How do you build a life, career, and find your people? The show's central conflict isn't about Ava finding a girlfriend, it's about her finding herself through her deeply complicated bond with Deborah. This isn't a story about discovering queerness, but about living it. That distinction is everything. And one of the most brilliant things the show does is explore the vast generational divide in how queerness is experienced and perceived. Ava's generation sees sexuality as more fluid and identity as something to be expressed openly. She can casually mention dating women or correct a stranger's assumptions without it being some monumental event. Deborah, on the other hand, comes from a world where survival meant concealment. For her generation of entertainers, any hint of deviation from the norm could be a career-ending disaster. Her entire life has been a performance of acceptability. The show is less about a buried queerness within Deborah and more about her status as a queer icon who is forced to confront a world that's changed around her. We see this in her rivalry with her old comedian friend Susan, which feels layered with the bitter energy of a past breakup. We see it in the way she both mocks and is fascinated by the open queer culture on the Lesbian cruise. Her connection with Ava isn't just a mentorship, it's a bridge between two entirely different queer realities. Ava's unapologetic existence forces Deborah to confront a culture and a language for identity that she never had access to. And their bond becomes a space where these two different eras of queer experience can actually meet, clash, but ultimately learn from each other. The tension isn't just unspoken romance, it's the friction between a lifetime of hiding and a lifetime of being out. This brings us to the core of the argument. Our culture and the television it produces is obsessed with binaries. You're either friends or you're lovers. If a connection is deep and intense and emotionally intimate, we're trained to expect it to resolve into a traditional romance or a sexual partnership. Anything else is seen as a failure, a story left unfinished. Hacks courageously rejects the binary. The relationship between Deborah and Ava is a mentor-mentee relationship. It's a mother-daughter relationship, healing old wounds for both. It's a fierce creative partnership. It's a deeply codependent friendship. And yes, it is a love story. Hannah, who plays Ava, has confirmed the show is written like a romance, and critics and cast alike have called the characters soulmates. The show leans into these tropes, and we get there's only one bed. We get fake dating. But each time, the show subverts our expectations. The payoff isn't a kiss, it's a moment of devastating emotional honesty. It's Deborah finally admitting that she needs Ava. It's Ava risking her career to protect Deborah.
I don't even know your voice anymore.
You are my voice.
The show argues that this connection is too large and too complex to fit into the neat little box of romance. Forcing them into a conventional coupledom would actually diminish the radical nature of what the show is trying to portray. That the most important person in your life, your true partner, might not be your sexual partner. In a media landscape that struggles to validate deep, non-romantic intimacy, Hacks presents it as the central, most powerful force in its characters' lives. This resonates deeply because it reflects a reality many queer people know: the existence of life-altering friendships and bonds that defy easy labels but are just as valid and profound as any romance. And so no, Hacks is not queerbaiting its audience. It's doing something far more difficult and more nuanced and ultimately more rewarding. It's not teasing a romance it's too afraid to show. It's openly exploring the tragedy and the beauty of a profound love for a multitude of reasons: age, power, trauma, and timing. Cannot and maybe should not become a conventional romance either. It doesn't hide the subtext. It puts the subtext on a literal stage and makes it the text. The show looks at will they, won't they, and asks, but what if they shouldn't? What if there's something more? It's challenging us, the audience, to widen our definition of love and partnership. It's giving us a language for relationships that exist in the messy, beautiful grey areas of life. Hacks validates the idea that the person who challenges your life, who sees you more clearly than anybody else, who becomes your other half, does not have to be fitting into some pre-approved category. It proves that the most profound relationships are often the ones that defy a label altogether. And so, I want to know, what do you think of Deborah and Ava's dynamic? Let me know in the comments below. And thank you so much for watching and listening. If you made it this far, you know what to do. Hit subscribe, like, the bell, all of that. It really helps the channel continue to grow. And thanks until next time. Take care. Bye.
Ooh,
That's my girl.
I love it.